Hello everybody. Once again, I am Ryan Beesmer with the Rawls Group. Thank you for joining me today. I'm here to talk a little bit about accountability, accepting accountability, holding other people accountable. What does it look like? So this whole conversation today is going to be really centered around accountability. Or when I think about what it looks like to hold someone accountable, I think I can probably imagine some funny cartoons or sitcoms on television where a mom is screaming and yelling at a husband. I think about Married with Children or something like that, screaming at the husband to make sure the bills get paid. And that's certainly a form of holding somebody accountable. I don't know that that is going to be the most conducive in a business environment, and so why it's important to talk about some of these things is so that, we can give you all some tools for making sure that your relationships, both yours with people that you work with and yours in your personal life, can be a little bit more fulfilled by you feeling more comfortable, not only holding yourself accountable, but your other people accountable. When other people hold you accountable, not letting that feel like a crushing blow, because truthfully it isn't. We already hold ourselves accountable innately in our personal lives in a lot of different ways. When you think about getting to work on time, going to the gym, eating healthy, even like brushing our teeth before the day starts, right? These are ways that we hold ourselves accountable day in, day out. Maybe sometimes we fall off the horse, we get back on. How does that translate into the business world? Right? Number one is setting firm expectations. If you've watched any of my videos before, you'll have heard me talk about setting expectations. It's probably one of my favorite things to do, is making sure that we're all on the same page for what I need from you, what you need from me, and what we're going to need to be successful going forward. This is where accountability starts, right? I can't hold you accountable to something that I haven't properly communicated to you. And if I try to, I just come off like a jackass, excuse my language. If you know what I expect of you, then I'm able to hold you accountable. Deliverables, deadlines, check-ins, right? When do I need to hear from you? What do I need from you? What do you need from me to be successful, like I said, right? This is where it starts, right? It's continued by communicating in real time. If I'm thinking about me as a leader, making sure that the subordinates that I have are performing well, maybe I've got a monthly check-in with them, but every week or so I'm going to be checking in. How's everything going, man? How you working on towards that deadline? How you working on that project, right? Just check in. Like, you don't need them, and you make it clear. I don't need you to pull it out and walk me through it right now. I just want to know, is there anything that you need from me, right? Make sure that they know that you're still on top of it for them. What comes into that is also potentially correcting some poor behavior and attitudes, right? If I assign Johnny a project that should take him about 2 weeks, and a week goes by and I ask him how that project's going and he says he hasn't started yet, then we're going to have a quick conversation that I think it's time for him to go ahead and get started on that, and obviously that can expand into different avenues of, do we need to talk about serious corrective action because you're not following through on the things that we're doing? But at the end of the day, accountability always starts with clear expectations for what you need from somebody and then following through on those, making sure, hey, how are you doing on this? Checking in. I'll say this really quick too. No one really likes to be held accountable. Everyone, believes, I'm sure, internally that they can get the things done that they need to get done. And it's very easy for holding someone accountable to feel like micromanagement. I gave Johnny that project a week ago. All of a sudden I'm standing over his shoulder asking him where it is, why he hasn't started it yet. It's understandable that Johnny might feel like, well, I've got time booked for that. I know that it's going to take me 2 days to work on it and I've got my schedule figured out. This is where having really strong relationships with your professionals or your subordinates or your peers or whoever is really important. If you have a really strong relationship with that person, Johnny, he's going to share that with me. Oh yeah, I've got it on my calendar to start working on it. I'll have it on your desk, by the deadline. Great. Our relationship has led to me having an easier time holding them accountable. I want you to put that in the back of your mind for a second. We'll come back to it. Accountability is not about being a jerk to people, right? It's about getting them to hold up their end of the bargain. And that starts with you holding up yours. When you're confronted with situations where someone's providing you feedback, don't jump to answers or reasons that you didn't hold up your end, right? I hesitate to use the word excuses there because there's always legitimate reasons why things don't get done. But if the first thing out of your mouth after someone brings feedback or critique to you is, a verbal attack of why you didn't get it done, then you're really not listening to them in that moment about the feedback, right? You got to hear it first. I'm sorry I wasn't going to get it done for you. Is it okay if I get it done by XYZ date, what have you? I'll say this too. It can be just as challenging to receive feedback as it is to deliver it. Not knowing what type of response you're going to get in the moment, truly going to be accountable to others, it's important to acknowledge the feedback in the moment. If there is more to the situation or context that is missing, the reasons why you weren't able to get it done, it's best to discuss that at a later point in time after you've had ample opportunity to digest the feedback. So hear what they're saying, listen to what's going on, and then marinate with that a little bit. Understand where could I have done a little bit better. And then at a later point in time, you can bring up, hey, I wasn't able to get this done because of this, but I'll get it done now. At the end of the day, how you approach people with holding people accountable is going to greatly impact your employees' perceptions of you and potentially their willingness to continue to work with you. You know, I mentioned earlier, the example of going and talking with one of your employees who you had maybe assigned a project and you don't want it to feel like micromanagement. And I think accountability will always feel like micromanagement to people who don't have great relationships with people that they're working with. Even in a spousal relationship, if that's deteriorating, then when you try and hold someone accountable to something, it's going to cause a conflict, versus us having a really healthy relationship where you feel like you can talk to me and you know that I'm not just going to blow up because you haven't started the project yet. It makes it a lot easier for that person to be honest and forthright about maybe it's some of the things that are holding them back from completing the project on time. So I think it's really important to emphasize that holding someone accountable does not mean being a jerk, being angry or yelling. Of course, those emotions can come, but if you want people to truly work with you and not just for you, it's important that when you are holding them accountable, you do it in a respectful way that says, we're here to solve this together. I'm not here to, slap you on the wrist for not doing this or give you a demerit because you weren't able to finish the project or get it started on time. It says, we're here to do this together and I want to know what I can do to help you make sure that this doesn't happen again, right? It's more of a collaborative tone towards accountability than it is maybe like a punitive one, if that makes sense. So that's a quick little chat about just holding other people accountable in organizations. And once again, my name is Ryan Beesmer with the Rawls Group, here for all of your succession planning needs. Thank you.